Jason, you good? Okay. All righty. Good evening, everybody. Karen, are you good? Okay. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Independence City Council meeting. It's Tuesday, October 25th, 2022, and winter has begun. It is now raining outside. Let the record show that the council is all present, including Councilor Morton, who is with us with audio on the telephone. Council members, just to update the agenda, we're removing item 7.3 from tonight's agenda. That'll come to you at a later date. And also, when we do our work session, we'll be down in the Heritage Room. Council members, you have the minutes of the September 27th meeting in your council packet, and do they meet with your approval?
Move to approve.
A motion, second by Councilor Kaur. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed?
Aye.
Was that a yes, or is that an opposition?
Yes, it was.
That was yes?
That was a yes.
Thank you, appreciate that.
Yes.
Yeah. So, okay, that was unanimous approval. We're all good? Okay. Visitor public comment. I don't see anybody turn in cards and nobody's jumping up. Okay, we're gonna move past public comments to the proclamation. This is something I enjoy doing, and I get to issue proclamations, and I'm gonna read this one because I think it's important. Whereas the community of Independence has great respect, admiration, and the utmost gratitude for all the men and women who've selflessly served our country and this community in the armed forces. And whereas the contributions and sacrifices of the men and women who served in the armed forces have been vital in maintaining the freedom and way of life enjoyed by our community. And whereas the city of Independence seeks to honor those individuals who have paid the high price for freedom by placing themselves in harm's way for the good of all. And whereas veterans continue to serve our community in veteran services organizations, National Guard, Civil Service, and by functioning as county veterans officers to help fellow former service members access federal health, disability, and compensation benefits each year. And whereas the city of Independence appreciates the sacrifice of our United States military veterans and believe specific recognition should be granted. Now, therefore, I, John McCardle, the mayor of Independence, do hereby proclaim November 7th, 2022 through November 13th, 2022, a time to salute and honor the service and sacrifice of our military veterans, and that in observance of Operation Green Light, the city of Independence City Hall shall be illuminated with green lights for the month of November, and that the community of Independence is encouraged to recognize the importance of honoring our military veterans by displaying a green light in a window of their place of business or residence. This is done the 25th day of October, and I have since signed it. I'd also like to make note that besides the city of Independence being the city, we are also an employer. And I want to take a moment to thank the following members of the City of Independence staff who are serving as members of the United States Armed Forces. Tino Banuelos, Gerald Fisher, Richard Gonzaga, Alabaster Graham, Gregory Herrera, and Eric Solberg. I want to thank those people specifically, and I'd like to have the representatives of the Veterans Organization step forward so I can present this plaque to them, and let's give them all a big round of applause, please. Well, I know you represent a number of different folks in different places. I turn this way because then the magic owl will be able to see you. So I'm going to hand this to you folks, and we're going to all smile and look good. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate it. Thanks. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Truly is an honor to be able to proclaim important things like that, and I appreciate that. Counselors, in your packet, you have appointments for boards and commissions, and I ask for your approval.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion second to approve as presented. Discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Is that an aye? Thank you. And opposed? There's no opposition. Motion carries. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Moving forward, my report. It's been busy. I will tell you, I had the pleasure of attending the Council of Governments. I attend the Council of Governments legislative meetings, and we're all preparing the 43-member governments through Polk, Marion, and Yamhill County. We're all working on getting our legislative agendas all set up, and we'll be having a gathering in December for a number of governments to be meeting with our local legislators from around the 3-county area. Also attended the League of Oregon Cities Conference, and we are also talking a lot about the ongoing the League of Oregon Cities legislative issues, and we're talking a lot about infrastructure and the importance of home rule, letting us do what we think is best for our community and not having the state tell us, because we don't like the state telling us, just like the state doesn't like the feds telling them. Recently had the ODOT regional director here on a city tour, and showed her the infrastructure projects that we have in the Independence Transportation Plan that both impact both our city and that have implications for the state, both in moving freight and moving people. It's really nice to have a regional director who takes the time to come and really listen and learn to what our issues are. Also had a chance to recently have lunch at Independence Elementary School. It was National School Lunch Week, and at the invitation of the school district, had a chance to go over and visit the school where my son went, and it was school lunch. It was great. And finally, many of you know that I'm a volunteer at the Ella Curran Food Bank, and they're preparing for Thanksgiving. They're taking signups now to provide Thanksgiving dinner. They plan to serve 300 families, which that comes out to over 1,200 people. They already have 180 people who've signed up. That's all handled by donated food, donated money, and a number of volunteers. So also, I know that the City of Independence has been really good at working with the food bank so that they can do it in Riverview Park and make it an easy drive through. So kudos to all the people involved, the police department, public works, and the staff for doing that. So that is my mayoral report. Let's go to councilor liaison reports. Councilor Takis, you have a Minnet report for us, please.
Yeah, so I just wanted to say one of the first things, Minnet recently paid their the full bond debt service payment that was just due. They paid that in full, and then expect to be paying all the rest of them in full as they come up too. Construction is well underway for the expansion into the Rick Rial area. They're actually expecting to be able to complete the construction first quarter of 2023. They're going to begin marketing efforts and doing some pre-signups here in actually just a few weeks. And the engineering is underway to expand into the South Dallas area also. So that's what's going on with Minnet. The next board meeting is actually tomorrow at 4:30.
Great, thank you. Councilor Joe, Parks and Recreation, please.
Yes, thank you. So the Parks and Rec, they were able to vote and pass their park naming guidelines. So they're finalized and they're coming to city council soon. The other thing that came up is the pool, and everyone on Parks and Rec is very interested in the plan or the planning for the pool. They know that the city manager is working on it and they do want to be involved if at all possible. And just be kept, up to date and aware of kind of what's going on and maybe be able to help influence that a little bit. That's all I have.
Great, thank you. Counselor Martin Willis on the Planning Commission.
Excuse me, Planning Commission has been largely busy with much of the same business that has recently come before us. So really no business to report on at this time.
Okay, thank you very much. Under staff reports, City Manager, do you have anything or do you want to go directly to staff?
Everybody here, and thank you for coming. We love to see your faces and we love to have you here. For those of you who aren't familiar with the way we work, the mayor runs the meeting, as you can see. That's his role as mayor. And each item on the agenda comes up. He will call the staff up. The staff will present. Then our council will ask the staff questions, and then they'll debate and they'll discuss, and they will move forward with direction for staff and action on that. What you won't see is what you see on TV. So you're not going to see grandstanding and arguing and yelling. This is a business meeting. They work together to get the business of the city done. So that's my little spiel that I do every time. Thank you again for coming and spending your time with us tonight.
Great. Thank you. Mr. Evander, I think you have the next item, some awards, if I recall correctly.
Perfect, yep. Welcome. I don't know, maybe I should have stood over there. So we're, hi there, and hi there, everybody. My name is Fred. I'm the city planner here. What we are doing tonight is fun. It's like actually something positive with government. Sometimes it doesn't feel all that positive, some of the stuff that I get to do, but hey, here tonight, we're going to recognize 2 projects, but we're only going to give one of the awards away tonight. The project that we're going to recognize is something that the Historic Preservation Commission came up with 2 years ago. They called it the Carnes Weaver Award, and Michael Carnes is actually in the audience tonight. One of the people who the award was named after. The award was named after folks that promoted historic preservation in this community. And one of the people who just is an obvious recipient of the award is getting the award tonight. It's Paul Ryder. For those of you who don't know Paul Ryder, he's sitting right about back there. He's done a number of projects in the community, including a number of beautiful buildings, the Yellow House at 10th and Monmouth and the Pink House. So today we are recognizing his work for 360 South 3rd Street, and we do have a video to show with him at the house.
I own the house at 360 South 3rd Street that I restored. Built this house, believe it or not, I bought 20 years ago about, I let it sit 20 years, and then several other bunches going on. And finally got back to it from the market times at home. We were clear to the house, completely gutted it. Acknowledges wiring, temporary pipe for plumbing things, and we just went through and just to the house from top to bottom, really. So we did here. This house was built by Ira Mix. He was a banker here in town at the time, and he built it when he and his wife first got married in 1923. And it was sold to Bill Nix. And it's restored some houses also. They did a little bit of work in each this and then they sold it to Lucille. And Morton Hill, she's from the family. And she decided, when she was gone, that she wanted me to have this home. And so the family owned it after she passed away. We had a house appraised at that time and I bought it from the family. I try as much as I can. Like all the trim work, the mold and stuff like that, I take it all off my hand and number each piece. original baseboards in the house, the trim around the doors and things, but we finished it, you know, and kept it as much possible as the original house we can. Because, like I said, there's some changes, like modernize the kitchen, of course, things like that. More or less, it's pretty much the way it was. So, you know, the bathrooms, the kitchen, things you have to upgrade on. So, when I first moved here, people said, I didn't want to buy a place in Independence, and that was a pretty rough time at that time. There wasn't much future going on, but the years I've been here, it's turned around completely. We have a beautiful park and the hotel down there and the walk, go on the river and things. I walk that every morning with my dog. It's across the street. And my parents used to live across the street. So I would know makes sense.
Come on up here, Paul. That's a part where we give you.
Nothing so useful.
There you go. Let's move over here so everybody can see it. Paul, on behalf of the City of Independence, we want to thank you for what you've done for the historic homes in our community, for making this an even better place, and your passion and your energy. Thank you so very, very much. Big round of applause. Thank you to the Historic Commission for making that possible. Okay. Mr. Fisher, a report from Public Works. Good evening, welcome to council.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the City Council. So I'm going to give you the report that we go through at the department head level about every 2 weeks. And if you have any questions about the projects we're working on, go ahead and interrupt me at any time. These are the high priority projects that we're working on. I don't list everything that I'm working on because it's multiple pages. But right now we're working on the Polk Well number 4 project. We have a scope of work for testing of that well so that we can get it designed and constructed. I'm anticipating that we'll bring the scope of work for the engineering and construction management to council on November 8th. And then we'll be doing testing on that well over the winter months. And then we have to submit a report to OHA for their approval and then move on. Final design and construction of the well. The 9th Street pump station down on 9th Street, just north of Monmouth Avenue. This is a reconstruction of the existing pump station. It's nearing its capacity, so we're adding larger pumps and an upgrade to that facility. That is actually under construction right now. They're working on the paperwork, getting the submittals in. We have a long lead time on equipment. The generator is a 12-month lead time, and one of the transformers is a 9 to 12-month lead time. So a project that would normally take maybe a year and a half to construct, it's going to take us a lot longer because we're waiting on suppliers who are waiting on materials, in some cases of materials that are coming outside of the country. The corrosion pH study, this is a project to basically balance the pH and the alkalinity. We're on a well system, so we get that hardness in there. And over time, depending on the pH, it can actually corrode the copper piping and other pipes in our system. That's why we're transitioning all of our pipes over to PVC. But this balance, basically through chemistry, will allow that water to be a little softer and not have as much of an impact to the system overall. F Street Bridge, we did the ribbon cutting on that. The last thing that we're working on right now is to finish the design of the street lights. We're having to go with a little bit different design on the street lights because it is crossing a riparian area. We don't want to project light down into the area where the critters are at. So we're coming up with some lights that'll actually shine down on the roadway and focus the light on the roadway itself instead of back. The water master plan and water management conservation plan are going along really well. We did submit our comments back to the consultant on the water master plan. And I'm probably about 1 day left on reviewing the management conservation plan. We'll turn that back into the consultant. Our anticipated schedule is to have an open house here at the Civic Center on November 29th with a city council work session, bring you up to speed on all of the changes with the water master plan on January 10th. And if we have everything done and ready to go, we'll submit that to OHA for review at the end of January. They go through their review period, do public comment. Everything comes back and looks good. And our plan is to have the adoption of the master plan, the public hearing, and the ordinance on March 28th. Regional water supply, I don't have any new updates on that, other than I did receive some documentation from the consultants who are working on that for Polk County. I still have to review that information. SDC updates tonight. We'll get a decision, and then hopefully we'll be able to move to adoption at the next council meeting. Polk County Hoffman Gun Club Road Safe Routes to School project. This project is still going along, albeit not very quickly. It's in design. Polk County is the lead on that, and their engineers are working on it. My piece of it is I'm trying to get their lighting design from them so I can work with the power company to underground the light poles that are out there that are on the west side of the roadway, get those undergrounded and have new street lights put in.
Gerald?
Yeah.
I know it's not a part of that plan, but a signal, a light on Hoffman and Gun Club Road, I've been asking forever for that to be maybe a part of this or something to think of in the next iteration, maybe?
There's a flashing pedestrian light south of there. I'm forgetting the name of the street where they have a crossing.
Mhm.
And it'll be the flashing ped lights. But there is no signal planned at that intersection right now. It is in the master plan to look at intersection improvements for safety, for pedestrians, for traffic, and also to look at what is the best option for that intersection.
Mhm.
Should it be a signal? Should it be a roundabout? What should it be? And when we actually get to that point, then we'll do that preliminary study.
And I hope some of the work being done on the sidewalk area, there's a lot of vegetation. It's really hard to see left
Yeah.
there.
Wastewater treatment plant biosolids, favorite topic. We did the chemistry on it. We did do the survey out there. It looks like we have less biosolids than originally thought, which is a good thing because overall the cost to remove those biosolids in preparation for the treatment plant upgrade, that cost will go down. So I'm waiting for their packet on what they think the total tonnage is that we're going to have to haul out. And then once we get that, we'll go ahead and get the contract together, get that before you, and then we'll get it under construction and start hauling out biosolids. These biosolids can't be reused. I think we talked about it once before. Because we don't have any screening at the treatment plant, it's basically everything that comes into the treatment plant sewage wise, plus toys and everything else. There was no screening or pulling off of material. So it basically has taken anything that's gone down the sewer drains forever. So we're going to dewater that. We're going to haul it off to the landfill, and they actually like it there because they can use it as a cover for the other garbage. The headworks and lagoon upgrade that I talked about, we'll be working on the application for the loan later this year. We have another loan deadline. I think it's December 9th. And then there's another one after that. So it comes up, I think, 3 times a year. So we have multiple opportunities. I wanted to get through the SDCs and get through the rate look so that we have a really good idea what we're up against before we put in that loan. But we are working on it. The Oregon 51 Fifth Street Safe Routes to School Crossing, Fred's actually working on that one. We are waiting for the results of the grant, supposed to have that later this year. Sunset Park improvements, we did get a grant. We're waiting for the IGA from the state. There's a pretty big backlog at the state for getting intergovernmental agreements through. And there's a shortage of staff at DOJ. It's been going on for probably the past 10 years. It's been this way. Once we get that in, we'll review it, get it before you so that you can approve it, and then we'll be off and running. C Street sewer replacement, I just received the scope this evening right before the meeting. That'll be under review, and if everything looks good, I'll have that before you at the next council meeting for design and construction. Pavement condition index, we did do a review of all of their segments. They went out and actually looked at all the street segments, and they're building a database. So we'll have it's like an asset management system, but for pavement. It tells you when you should do certain streets, what you should do to them, whether it's slurry seal, crack seal, grind and overlay, or full reconstruction. I'm anticipating that they'll have that report in a draft form that I can review by the end of the calendar year, and then we'll bring that back to you through a work session. The consultant will actually come in and do a presentation for the council, and then we can answer any questions you have before we get to the final adopted version. Asset management system, this is, since we don't have a GIS system, we're bringing all of our infrastructure into an asset system that is run by Beehive. It tells us what all of our pipes are, the age, the size, when did we work on something. It has a work order system, and it'll actually integrate pavement management system into it. Those two programs talk to each other. So we can get a lot of information and data out of it. And then the 9th Street Pump Station Phase 2 and 3. These were long-term projects that we got money for through the Christmas tree bill. And I'm waiting for that to go through the supplemental budget process so that I actually have revenue in that I can start design work on that. So we'll get Phase 1 and 9th Street done and then go into design of Phase 2 and 3. We did ask the contractor to do a change because we know the size of the generator for the full build out. So we're ending up having him not get the first generator for just Phase 1. We're having him get the generator for Phase 1, 2, and 3 and do all the upgrades now. That's a substantial cost savings to us long-term, and it'll basically be plug and play when we bring Phase 2 and 3 on board. I also have the capital improvement plan. I think I'm up to 300 pages. Yeah. It's done in draft form. Ken is reviewing it, but not all of it. She's just reviewing the very front because most of it is all of the projects. So it lists projects, project costs, pictures of the projects, and all the information about it. I'm planning to have that in front of you on November 8th too. There really isn't a whole lot of review because it's all the projects you've already approved in the master plans. And we're just listing them out in one document, and that document will get updated every year. And then the high priorities will be part of the budget document. We're still working on scanning as-builts. There's a lot of them. And once we have those in, those will actually integrate into the asset management system. So when the crew's out in the field and they want to know something about a manhole, they can actually bring up the as-builts from when it was constructed and see those digitally in the field. Working on some policies that the city hasn't had in writing related to water line flushing, fire hydrant, flow testing, sewer line cleaning, backflow notification and lock off, and street sweeping. We have an industrial user survey that we sent out. It's due this year for us to report to DEQ. It's part of our NPDES permit. We've had so far a really low response to the survey. We're going to nudge those people. And if any of them out there are listening tonight or watching, I need you to turn those in. It's a requirement. I don't like to be the regulatory guy. We have some stuff in our code that says if you don't do X, we will do Y. That includes cutting off services, significant cost to businesses by requiring pre-treatment at your business, requiring control or quantity of the discharge. In other words, I'm restricting your flow, and requiring additional payment for added costs, which I got a bunch of stuff to do. I don't want to write those letters. So if anybody needs another copy of that because it accidentally fell off the desk and went in the garbage can, we can get you a new one, but we need those turned in. DEQ will come down on us if we don't get this done. That's-
Counselor Roden.
I have a question. What is the city's position on seeking waivers for materials made outside of the United States?
So are you talking about the lift station?
Correct.
So the lift station is under a DEQ CWSRF loan, and so we're restricted on what we can go for outside of the requirements of that loan. So it has American steel. We have to follow the Davis-Bacon. It's not just the Boley rates, but we have to follow Davis-Bacon. We have to report those. And there's a couple other ones that are in there. They're not as restrictive as what's supposedly coming down from the federal level where everything has to be USA made, because that doesn't exist anymore. Pumps, a lot of the parts, they don't come from here. We assemble them here, but we don't necessarily make some of the components of the pumps. So that's getting worked on at a federal and state level. We've voiced our concerns. I was actually at an APWA conference last week. A whole bunch of us have voiced our concerns about, hey, you can't get a 100% USA made pump. It's just, they don't have them. So we need to be able to relax that, give flexibility. So if they want us to use the funds, we have to be able to have enough flexibility that we can get the materials.
Do you
If I
think
can
that-
add,
Sorry,
if I may.
yes.
I know that I've met with our congressional staff people. I know Council of Governments has met with congressional staffers explaining our concern on the Build America. I know our city manager has met with League of Oregon Cities and with her professional group. So there's a push on a number of fronts for the reasons that Mr. Fisher talked about, because they don't make all the parts for the pumps in the United States, and it's a problem. And I know that the federal government is they're now looking at it. The administration is taking a look at it. So it's on the front burners on lots of organizations, and we are not the only ones jammed up on that.
We can get pipe here. We can get concrete vaults here. We can get some of the cabling and other stuff here, but electrical components, pumps, generators, things like that. It's very difficult to find all of the components in the US. Matter of fact, it's kind of impossible. A lot of that stuff. We went to this global economy. When things don't work in the global economy, this is what happens.
Great.
Thank you.
Councilor Joe.
I had a question back to the water testing that they were talking about. I actually tested my water recently and the alkaline was like off the chart. So I was wondering, is there any health concern there for our alkaline and our water being that high?
I'm not the chemistry guy. I don't believe so. We do regular testing and reporting to OHA and Water Resources. They take samples at a bunch of different locations. If something came up that was a spike, we want to look at it. So if you can email me something, I'll have our water folks maybe go by and take a sample. We haven't seen anything. Most of it has been kind of pushing out from where we want it as far as a range goes. And all we're trying to do is guide it back in with a chemical treatment.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you for a very complete report. Appreciate it. So you don't have to leave yet because
I know,
you're
I
up
got the
next.
one too.
So we're going to go to system development charge update, councils. And did you want to provide some context for our listening audience?
So we have met several times regarding system development charges for the wastewater and transportation system development charges. What system development charges are is when a development comes in, a single family home, commercial, industrial, they pay system development charges to transportation, wastewater, water, sewer, and stormwater. Those funds are to pay for the projects that are considered capacity increasing. In other words, I'm coming in, I'm having an impact on the system. Your system can't handle my impact and you have to upgrade the system. I'm paying my fair share of doing that versus it all being on the existing property owners and residents to pay for that. So what we have tonight is we've gone through the public hearing. That's over. We got the public comment. I did provide you a response memo to some of the public comment that came in last go around. And as I discussed before, I started out with like 3 options and I'm like, okay, let's just give them a whole bunch of options because I didn't know which way you really wanted to go. So we have 6 options before us. You can choose option 1, which is the full SDCs at adoption when I bring it back at the next council meeting. Option 2 is full SDC starting January of 2023. Option 3, full SDCs by July 1, 2023 in 2 steps. So you do 50% of the increase in January, 100% increase in July. Option 4 is full SDCs by October of 2023 in 4 steps. So we just kind of break it up over multiple months. And option 5 is full SDCs by July 2024. And option 6 is full SDCs by January 1, 2025. So there's a adopt now, adopt the first of the calendar year, do it over 6 months, over 1 year, over 1.5 years, and over 2 years.
Would you, in your memo, you made, and I saw you, you made a comment, I would like you to just verbally, that any delay in,
Yes.
yes, what the impact of any delay on an SDC would be on our ratepayers.
So if you don't adopt, and an adoption of the SDCs and how you do it is a policy decision. My job as staff is to recommend, here's what they are, 100% go. But it is a policy decision. It's based on the council striking a balance. And the quirk about that is for every property, business, what have you, that comes in that you don't implement the full SDCs, that offset difference has to be picked up through rate increases on the existing ratepayers. So if you have a $100,000 project and you only implement 75% of the SDCs, that means you get 75,000 SDCs. Everybody else has to pick up the 25,000 through the rate increases to pay for that project. So that's why staff recommends adopting the full amount up front. However, you can decide to phase it in over time, and anything that comes in over that phased in period, we're going to have to pick up that loss of SDC revenues through rates.
Thank you for answering that question. Councilor Roden, you had a question.
Yes, my question, if we decide to delay this, or I'm sorry, let me start that over. If we do the full SDC adoption and we have a failure to maintain the SDCs because builders aren't building here, are ratepayers in Independence going to have to pick up that tab anyway?
No, typically what I would do, unless it's a critical project that's being pushed on us by the state through a mandate, I would slide or delay that project until we had close to enough SDC revenue. If it is a project that is going to have a debt load on it, what we end up doing is we take whatever SDCs we got in from the last year, we use all of that to pay the debt. The difference, we use rates, but we keep track of that rate money so that next time we do our SDC update, you do a master plan about every 7 years and do the update again. We'll take all of that money and we'll roll it into the next SDCs in the reimbursement column of SDCs. And reimbursement means we fronted the cost for this. You need to pay us back. So anybody after that time that comes in, they have to pay their improvement and they have to pay payback. So the ratepayer ends up getting that money back over time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Counselor Job.
So these SDCs are for wastewater and transportation. Are there more SDCs coming soon that you're anticipating? And
Yes.
how soon?
So we're in water master plan right now, anticipated to get that done in March. I would expect we would have the SDCs pretty well wrapped up and through a work session at council by this next summer, 2023. And then water rate update done before the end of the calendar year. About the summertime of 2023 or fall of 2023, we'll start the stormwater master plan. That project will take probably a year and a half to get through. There's a lot of new regulations related to stormwater. We'll follow with the stormwater SDCs and the stormwater rates after that. So they will come in over time. There's no transportation fee because we get our money from gas tax. There's no transportation capital improvement fee that the city has. So all we're looking at right now is sewer, then there'll be one for water and then stormwater. I don't know where parks fits in there for a relook at parks. But I'll have those three back to back.
Thank you.
All right.
So I had a question. Could you remind me, when is it our STCs applied in the process?
So they're applied at the time of application for building permit.
Okay, so pretty early on.
Yeah, they'll go through the pre-app and planning process. And then once they actually get to building permit, for that application, the building department will say, I've got an application. I go through and do the calculations as part of my review and my comments, and I send it to them. That's what it is.
And is that typically like 3 months or so, or?
From beginning to end.
From the time they come and say, hey, I want to build something, to the time you apply STCs?
Oh, no, I get it, and I usually have, unless I have a huge backlog, it might be 2 weeks. A lot of time I can get it turned around in 2 to 3 days.
Okay, thank you.
So we get to make a decision. I know for myself, I think we should go with option one, the full SDC as an adoption, so that we don't have to put anything on our ratepayers. But what do other people think?
I move to approve option one and request staff to prepare a resolution for adopting and obtaining system and development charge methodology and fee for wastewater and transportation system utilities and affirming current rates for water, stormwater, and park system development charges.
Second.
I second that.
And then I think that was Martin Willis was the second. Okay, that was pretty quick there. Okay, is there further discussion? All righty, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And Counselor
Aye.
Morton, come again,
Aye.
please. Aye, and opposed.
Aye.
Okay.
It was an aye.
Oh, there we go. Okay, motion passes. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'll bring that back to the next.
Appreciate that. We're gonna go to the wrecking license renewal.
Good evening, Mayor and City Councilors. Unfortunately, I only have 3 options for you here. So this is the annual review of the GNR Auto Records doing business as Pick Apart Records License. This report or this investigation, I guess, was completed by Sergeant Benuelos, who is not here tonight, so I'm presenting on his behalf. You should have the memo in your council packets. I don't know if you need any more explanation on it. It's fairly simple. There are 3 options for you. The first one, you can approve the application for the renewal of the liquor license. You can deny the application, or you can approve the application with conditions to be specified.
Wrecking license?
Correct. It's just a wrecking license.
Well, okay, you said liquor. That's
Sounded
why
like-
we were confused.
Is something happening at GNR?
I used to do the liquor licenses. So I've combined the two. No, they're not drinking liquor there that we're aware of. So it's just for the.
Or at least not
purpose of
selling
dispensing automobiles.
Are there any questions for staff? This is pretty straightforward. We have to do this on an annual basis required by the state. If somebody wants to initiate.
I'd like to make that motion, please, to approve the application.
That's a motion.
I'll second it.
Second by Takis. Discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed.
Aye.
The delay makes it sound funny. You're voting in the affirmative, right, Counselor Morton?
Yes, I am.
Thank you. I assume that, but okay, motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much. We're going to go on to the next item here, which is Ms. Christensen, adoption of the Teamster Collective Bargaining Agreement. I know some of you folks are hanging out because this is really exciting stuff. We're not offended if you want to go home and watch the baseball game or have dinner. This is our last major item here in council. We'll have announcements, and then we're going to be going to a work session downstairs. So we're not offended if you want to, but you're welcome to hang out too.
Please.
Please. That's true. Ms. Christensen, welcome.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Tonight, I am presenting you with the proposed collective bargaining agreement between the city and Teamsters Local 324. Staff and the union have bargained in good faith and have come to the agreement as presented to you. We ask that you consider the approval of this agreement. Do you have any specific questions for us or for myself or the staff in regards to this agreement?
Really appreciate the work. I know the work that goes into creating a collective bargaining agreement. Thank you. This is an action item if someone would so move.
I move to approve the 2022-2025 tentatively approved Teamsters Local Union number 324 bargaining agreement as presented and authorize the city manager to execute it on behalf of the city of Independence.
Second.
I have a motion second by Counselor Martin Willis. Discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed.
Aye.
I'm taking that as affirmative.
Well, it was an aye, not a nay.
Yeah, I got
So,
it. I
yes.
got it. A motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Council announcements,
If no one else,
please.
I'd let other folks go first, but yes, I do have something that I'd like to share,
Councilor
kind of on
Martin
a
Willis.
personal note. On, excuse me, on October 7th, our family suffered a personal tragedy with the loss of my husband's son, Warren. Suicide is not a subject that is often discussed. I need everyone out there to know that you matter, that there are people that care about and love you. If you reach a place of despondence and feel you have no one left to turn to, I encourage you to call 988, the National Suicide Prevention Hotline. Your family and friends, your loved ones will thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing.
Sorry.
Okay, without objection, I'm going to adjourn the city council meeting and we're going to go downstairs to the Heritage room for a work session. And we'll do that. So without objection, we're adjourned, and anybody who wants to join us in the Heritage room for a work session is welcome. Let's make it let's take 10 minutes.